A Senate investigation revealed that President Nixon was involved in the Watergate scandal. Chief White House counsel John Dean dealt the president some of the heaviest blows. The resignations of other top White House aides and the disclosure that all conversations had been recorded on tape led in August 1974 to President Richard Nixon's resignation.
Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow. Vice President Ford will be sworn in as president at that hour in this office.
He is the only president ever to resign from office.
There was an assorted amount of people that were involved with the Watergate break-in in 1972. E. Howard Hunt, who was an American author and intelligence officer, worked for the Central Intelligence Agency and later the White House under President Richard Nixon. G. Gordon Liddy was the chief operative for the White House Plumbers unit that existed during several years of Richard Nixon's presidency. Liddy masterminded the first break-in of the Democratic National Committee headquarters in the Watergate building in 1972. He was a former Treasury and FBI agent and fell into the group the Plumbers who were planning the break-in. The burglars in which Liddy and Hunt got to be involved with the break-in were Eugenio Martinez, a member of the anti-Castro movement in the early 1960s, and later one of the 5 men recruited by Liddy and Hunt in 1972 for the Memorial Day weekend Watergate first break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters in Washington, D.C. He was a member of Operation 40 in the 1960s. Frank Sturgis, born Frank Angelo Fiorini, was also a member of the Operation 40 and was one of the Watergate burglars. He served in Fidel Castro's Revolutionary Army as a soldier of fortune and later trained Cuban exiles for the Bay of Pigs invasion. They were both associates of Barker Walk with CIA. The fourth burglar was a Cuban, Virgilio R. Gonzalez, who was a locksmith and a contract CIA operative. He was one of the 5 men recruited by Hunt and Liddy in 1972 for a break-in at the headquarters of the DNC in the Watergate building in Washington, D.C. The final burglar, James W. McCord, born July 26, 1924, in Waurika, Oklahoma, was the electronics expert involved in the 2 break-ins of the Watergate complex. McCord was also a former CIA agent and worked with the FBI, and he helped organize security for the CRP. The purpose of the break-in was to find out what the Democratic Party was doing to get their candidate voted into the presidential office. Nixon tried breaking in and using small chapstick microphones to record and hear what they were doing. So the whole purpose of the scandal was to find out how the Republicans could sway the voters to vote Nixon back in. In the following pictures, you will see the devices that were used to record and capture the sound of what they were doing in the Democratic building. John Sirica was the son of Italian immigrants who moved from Connecticut to Washington, D.C. in search of a better life. There, young John labored as a trash collector, boxing coach, and acting instructor as he gained a formal education. In 1926, he passed the bar exam, was hired as an attorney in a small law firm, and lost his first 13 court-appointed felony cases. Sirica worked with the U.S. Attorney's Office during the Hoover administration. When he married in 1952, his close friend and former boxing champion, Jack Dempsey, served as his best man. Sirica increasingly became active in Republican politics and was appointed to the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia in 1957. He soon gained the reputation as a maverick judge, at times irritable and careless, and earned the nickname Maximum John for his harsh rulings. It was not unusual for his decisions to be overturned during appeal. In 1973, he presided over the Watergate trials. Quickly growing impatient with their pace and lack of information yielded, Sirica adopted the controversial tactic of questioning the witnesses himself, and he instructed the jury to consider not only what happened, but also why it happened. Following the trial that saw 5 of the 7 defendants plead guilty and 2 convicted, Sirica's suspicions were confirmed, and the Watergate matter was transformed. When one of the burglars, James McCord, wrote a letter to the judge. In it, he told how others in court had withheld information and that payments were made by high White House officials to ensure silence. Sirica made the letter public. Within months, in Senate hearings, the existence of White House tapes was revealed. Sirica ordered the White House to turn over relevant tapes to his court. President Nixon claimed executive privilege, arguing issues of national security, and shielded the tapes from subpoena. The argument was quickly appealed to the Supreme Court, where the judge, who so often had his rulings overturned, was sustained by the nation's highest court. The president had to turn over the tapes, and once their contents were revealed, Nixon's fate was sealed. The result of the Watergate scandal put 5 men in jail and forced President Nixon to resign from office and allow his vice president, Gerald R. Ford, to step into office. In a surprise announcement made to the nation on September 8th, Ford granted the former president a full, free, and absolute pardon for all offenses against the United States committed between January 20th, 1969 and August 9th, 1974. And then the controversy had given a widespread loss of confidence in the Republican Party and its officials.